it's Crystal. It's July 18th, 2025. We live in Connecticut, and breaking news, it's not hot today. It's in the 80s now. This morning it was in the 70s, and there's very little humidity. I am not sure where I woke up today, but I will take it. This weather is spectacular. One of the kids had an activity today, so we just got back from that, and now they're in the pool. So you're probably gonna hear them screaming in the pool during this video. This morning, after I dropped off one of my kids at camp, I came home and I did a garden tour. It's our July garden tour. I walked through the garden, and I'm gonna show you that now. Over here, this is our kiwi vines. They're doing very good. We've got kiwis on them. They are a hardy kiwi. We've had them for 5 years maybe. We got our first real official harvest from them last August, so I anticipate getting a harvest from them again this coming August. It is the most favorite part of the property for the chickens to hang out. They really like hanging out underneath the kiwi vines. Then over here I have some Swiss chard in the corner. The green 18 F1 zucchini. I don't have this one trellised. It's just growing across the ground. And we've got a couple zucchinis in there. These are garden beans that I started on July 5th. Today is the 18th. I have to see if we are forecasted to get rain, because it looks like some of these plants need some water. Got Roma tomatoes in the corner of this bed where we normally grow garlic. And I also have more of the bushing beans that I had started. I would like to start more bushing beans. I picked out the seeds last night and made the labels. So I will probably be doing that in this bed and maybe some in the other bed. I've got a Jacoby little pumpkin plant in here that's vining around, and some pimento peppers in this corner. Kale underneath here. And this is just a bunch of volunteer tomatoes and not volunteer tomatoes, ones that I planted in there. I've got a gray zucchini plant and a Long Island cheese pumpkin that is doing really well, vining across. We have fabric pots over here. I am getting some tomatoes on the 42-day tomato plant, but the plant itself is not looking good. I'm not sure if that's typical for that plant. This is the first year I've grown it. If they just kind of produce what they're going to produce and then die back, or if they continue to produce and I failed the plant somehow. So I'm not sure if I have any others planted in the garden. Got a Mad Hatter pepper plant, starting to grow some peppers on it. Another zucchini. We've got eggplant flowers, a habanero plant, a struggling green globe artichoke, and this is a Spacemaster cucumber that I've been getting cucumbers off of, but the plant is not looking good, and it looks like there are squash bugs on it. So I might be taking that plant out. I've gotten a couple cucumbers off of it already, and there's one on here now. I do like it for a container variety. Maybe if I give it more attention, it would have done better. And then I have some bush beans, carrots, more tomatoes. I'm starting to see the green tomatoes. In this raised bed, I've got a bunch of bushing drying beans. They're called Jacob's cattle bean. They're like one of my favorite drying beans to grow. I've also got some spaghetti squash and butternut squash, maybe a baby boo pumpkin. I'm not sure which this one is, but it's starting to vine outside. Take a step back for a second. In this container, I've got the berry basket strawberries that I added. I put them in this container so that I could get more plants and maybe make a white Carolina and berry basket strawberry bed. I'm really happy with the plants. It was a good purchase. Those are the Ukrainian purple tomatoes. And I'm not sure what this one is. It came up on its own and I'm just letting it go. I'm thinking it's a cherry tomato plant. We'll see. Got another eggplant in here and some carrots. Underneath the shade cloth, we have a bunch of different cucumbers, an artichoke plant, ground cherries. That's the parsnip bucket. None of them sprouted. I have to start new seeds again. I've tried twice now. At the advice of my friend Manda, I'm gonna get new seeds And then I'm also going to try covering them to keep the moisture in until they sprout and then remove the cover. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna try again. The cucumbers in here are mostly doing good, and then some of them not so good. I added a shade cloth the other day because we had some really hot days and they were stressed out. So I put this shade cloth over the top of them to help them out a little bit. But I think some of them were just too far gone at that point. They got a little stressed and then the pest bugs knew and they attacked them. I have ginger growing. I've never grown ginger before, but I love ginger. Organic ginger from the grocery store. I decided to break some of it up and throw it in these containers back in April. And so this one's got some green on it. This one doesn't look like it's doing anything. Here's some of the ginger here. I'm just happy to have gotten any of it to grow. Oh, this one over here is the cream sausage tomato from MIgardener. More tomatoes in containers. Another eggplant. The sugar baby watermelon plants that I transplanted from the other side of the garden. These ones are hanging in there. So maybe I'll be able to get them to grow. And we've got Dr. Weitsch's, Mountain Princess tomatoes, one of my favorites. A Rosso Sicilian plant. This is just a very large fabric pot with a tall garden stake and a tomato cage. I've got more cherry and grape tomatoes back here. And some summer squash plants, I think. The sweet potato bed. A volunteer ground cherry plant, which I may regret leaving, but I'm going to leave it. And then our strawberry bed looks like crap, full of weeds, and I need to rake it out, redirect a bunch of the runners, rip out some of the yucky plants, and just kind of start fresh and fertilize. I also want to expand the strawberry bed to encompass more of this area. I've talked about it before, but that's how that's looking. Here is the flower bed. The weeds have really taken over. It is hindering the plants a little bit, I've noticed. So I'm thinking on another cool day, I'm gonna come in here and carefully, like, somewhat mow back some of the weeds and rip out any of like the crabgrass that's on the outside of the bed and anything that I can easily grab and rip out and just kind of help it a little bit, because it's allowing the pests places to hide and lay their eggs, and it makes it difficult for me to control the squash bugs and things like that. Persian carpet zinnias. These were free seeds from Baker Creek. More zinnias. These are all from Dollar Tree seeds. And then some of them voluntarily popped up, which is my favorite. And same with the morning glories. I did not start them. In fact, I've been ripping out all the morning glory seedlings I see because they will take over. They produce hundreds, thousands of seeds. But here's some eggs on this leaf here. And unfortunately, that's what happens when there's tons of weeds, is pest eggs on everything. We just passed under the bean trellis. I've been getting purple powdered pole beans off of it. And on the other side, I have a blue lake that I have not gotten beans off of, but I am starting to see flowers. We've been getting blackberries and raspberries over here. And this is the asparagus bed that I have to weed. I have to figure something out next year so that this doesn't happen. Here's the white Carolina strawberries. And I haven't gotten any flowers off of them yet, but they were from bare roots last year. And I'm just happy to see plants. All right, over here I have some zucchini, and we're getting Roma tomatoes. It's the oregano. It's an acorn squash, but I thought it was a bushing variety, and apparently not. But that's okay. Lots of different tomatoes. These are the spoon tomatoes. They're little tiny micro tomatoes. They're so good. They're very sweet. I've got the Dollar Tree marigolds, green machine zucchini, more tomatoes in this bed. I have to cut out these tall telephone peas because they are in the way of me clipping up the tomatoes. Got lots of different varieties of tomatoes. I'm also noticing the yellowy leaves on the bottom, and I just break them off. But most of the tomato plants are doing very well. I just have to come through and prune a little bit. I like to grow a lot of variety of tomatoes, and I really pack them in. So I have to make sure that I prune them to allow proper airflow, help to prevent disease. But so far so good. Here's another variety of marigolds. These are the Cracker Jack marigold from Dollar Tree. I have volunteer tomato plants everywhere. I may need to remove some, but I don't want to. And this is the San Marzano tomato bed. We've got some from Serrano seed that I started, and then there's some that I got from the store. And I've also got a summer squash in here too. These two beds in the middle that I used to grow cherry tomatoes in, I've got beans. Those are jade bush beans. And I have 3 different varieties of beans in there, and a summer squash tree that's the best summer squash plant I've ever grown. It's the yellow crookneck squash from Paige's Seeds, and I have it trellised up with a small tomato cage, and then on a pole over here. And over here. So far so good. I am noticing the squash bugs are starting to come out a lot more than before. I almost forgot the green stalk. It's full of herbs. A bolted lettuce and a volunteer tomato. I have no idea what it is. I thought it was going to be one of the dwarf varieties that I grew in here, but it's not. And I'm just kind of letting it go to see what happens. But there's a lot of herbs in here. And the cilantro I started. Some more beans in containers. Serrano chili peppers from Dollar Tree. Excellent this year. And I have it in a container. My pepper plants usually do better in containers. I don't know if it's because they like to have their roots contained, but it always does really well in a container. And I already harvested 2 of the Serrano chilies the other day with a couple jalapenos, and I roasted them on the Blackstone to have with dinner, and they were so good. And some chocolate mint. Over here we have the brassica bed. I have a net over the top of it. I am noticing a little bit of bug damage on the leaves, so something must have gotten there. I really need to harvest the kale. But I have cabbages growing and Brussels sprouts, cauliflower plants in there. I don't really know how those are doing though. And I've been harvesting broccoli. The broccoli's been meh. It kind of just goes from tiny to flowering. And I'm noticing worm damage in there. But there's a lot of kale in there to harvest and some small broccoli crowns. The blueberries have been excellent this year, except for the fact that one of the bushes just straight up died. I don't know what happened to it. The good news is that I'll be able to cut it out or dig it out, and then I have like 3 plants. Maybe this one I'll replace it with. So I don't have to buy anything. I'll be able to just replace it. Here are the Amish paste tomatoes. This one was the one that was growing over here, and I peeled it off of the fabric and placed it in the ground, but it doesn't look like it made it. And then the other ones are doing very, very well since I ripped out all these weeds. The weeds for sure hinder the plants. So I'm really glad that I did that. I did pick a sucker off of this plant here, and I have it in water inside to root. And once I get it to grow, I'll transplant that out here. How did you get in here? You can't be in here. Excuse me. We gotta go the other way. Nope, you gotta go the other way. You gotta go out the way you came in. Well, that's one way to do it. That's my fault. I left the gate open. And now she's trapped in here. And I gotta try and pick her up. Hello, everybody. I really like it in the garden. Huh? All right, let's go. There she is. Out of the 4 Brahmas we had, she's the only one I have left. She's like a Muppet. I love the Brahmas. I want more. She did a little damage. She bent this leaf here and squashed some other things, but that's okay. It could have been worse, and it was my fault. Oh, anyway, back over here. These are the tomatoes I transplanted on the 100-degree day. I had 4 Comstock sliced tomatoes in here. 3 of them died. 1 of them is doing well, but there are 2 plants in here. So I'm going to try and get some suckers off of those plants and then transplant a couple more in here. I also have a mystery tomato plant that didn't have a label, so that's in here. I think it's the same one as this one. The leaves look the same. I think it's a giant Belgium tomato. Overall, they're doing pretty good. I already talked about the cucumber bed a little bit. I've got a zucchini plant in here that's doing well. And then I started these potatoes on June 2nd. Geez, I can't believe it was that long ago. I feel like I just did it, but those are growing. These are our hot peppers. I got the 4-foot garden stakes in there to help keep them upright, and I'll clip them to it as needed, because sometimes the peppers get a little top heavy with the peppers on them. So I help to keep them upright because I grow a lot of them in here. Kind of ignore spacing. I don't really agree with the spacing on the packets sometimes, so this is how I take advantage of our grow space. And then I had this sickly zucchini plant that wasn't doing well. I ended up sticking it in the middle of the pepper bed where one of the peppers didn't make it, and it loves the soil in here. This is a Cocozelle zucchini, and I've gotten a few on there to be harvested. But I've also been trimming back the leaves a little bit, like the leaf that's on the ground there, I'll probably cut, and then I cut it right at the end. I don't cut it at the base, I cut it at the end where the leaf is. So that's that bed. And then here's the sweet pepper bed. I just can't believe the difference in the plants, how they looked. Not that long ago, they were pretty stunted, and I was a little fearful that I wasn't going to get them to recover. They looked really, really bad. Lastly, I want to mention these volunteer sunflowers. I don't think it's a lemon queen, and they don't look as big as the mammoth. I'm not sure what they are, but I grow a bunch of different varieties of sunflowers. There's more over here. So we will see what we get with those, but they're very pretty. It's the earliest I've gotten sunflowers, and they just add a whimsiness to the garden that I love. So a lot has changed between last month and this month in our garden, and I cannot wait to see what it's going to look like even just in a couple of weeks. Don't peck my feet. Excuse me. My toes are not bugs. I think it's my nail polish. It was a good garden tour. I was able to see actually what I need to harvest, and so we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna just go through and harvest some things. I saw some zucchinis and summer squash. I definitely need to harvest the kale because I didn't do it last time. So we're gonna get through and get it all done this afternoon. The garden is starting to get to that point where tomatoes are growing and things are happening. This is Green Machine F1 zucchini from Mowing Organic Seeds. For anybody wondering how I remember all the varieties, I do memorize them after a while, but in the beginning I have these labels that I make out. I get them on Amazon and I reuse them when I can, but that's how I remember the varieties that I'm growing. And another one. Cocozelle zucchinis from Mowing Organic Seeds. These are one of my favorites to grow. A yellow crookneck squash from Page's Seeds. Early prolific straight neck squash from Baker Creek. Chicago pickling cucumber from Baker Creek. And a Spacemaster cucumber from MIgardener. A Marketmore cucumber from Dollar Tree. Green 18 F1 cucumber from Mowing Organic Seeds. Black Magic F1 jalapeno from Mowing Organic Seeds. And a couple Serrano chili peppers from Dollar Tree. These are really spicy. I had them on the grill the other day. Tendergreen improved bush garden beans from Dollar Tree. Provider bush garden beans from Hudson Valley Seed Company. Royal Burgundy beans, also from Hudson Valley Seed Company. Purple potted pole beans, Baker Creek. And I'm gonna get some of this broccoli. These are what grew after I harvested the main broccoli. Oh no, not on this one. This is blue Scotch kale from MIgardener. Dinosaur kale, also known as lacinato kale, and I got these seeds this year from Serrano seed, and it looks like I've got some pest damage on here. It hasn't really been an issue in the net. Some of these ones that are really yucky I'll just give to the chickens, but most of them aren't bad. I have two different varieties of carrots in here. I've got Kaleidoscope blend, I think that's what these ones are. And then I also have Yellowstone carrots from Fruition Seeds, and I think that's what these ones are. Split. This one looks okay. I mean, it's funny looking, but it looks okay. This other one's got some rot on it, bug damage, and it's split. I think those ones can stay in there a little bit longer. And there's a new Carota carrot from Baker Creek. Ooh, that's a nice one. Tender sweet carrots from MIgardener. These tender sweet ones might be my new favorite. I'll see what they taste like. And these are the red cord Chantenay carrots from Dollar Tree. Ooh, look at this one. It's a good one. I also harvested this dwarf Siberian kale. I think it's from Baker Creek. I'm not sure, but I have a couple plants in there, and I kind of grow it specifically for the chickens. It's good kale to eat. It's not really the best texture. My favorite texture for kale is the dinosaur kale, but I also like this blue Scotch kale. And this one, I don't know, it's not my favorite, but I like to grow it for the chickens because the chickens really love kale. In fact, I have a blue curled Scotch kale on the outside of the garden too that the chickens enjoy pecking from, and I kind of just leave it there for them. Steve got some wine berries, and I got a handful of blackberries and a couple raspberries, and I also harvested the blueberries. And one of the carrots that I thought was good, looks like it has some bug damage, that maybe I left it in the ground too long. I think the bottom part is still edible. The top part I probably won't be able to, but we'll see when I cut into it. These tender sweet carrots from MIgardener, those are nice. I grew those in a fabric pot too.
Out of pure excitement.
I think she was afraid of being left behind. Ugh, the bugs are starting to drive me crazy, so I have to end this quickly. We harvested quite a bit of things. Some of the stuff is going to the chickens, like that kale that I showed you, and the carrot tops. I'm gonna give those to the chickens also in a minute. I'll throw that in for them. Since we did the garden tour this morning, something else I would like to add about that is I have things growing in areas that I never done it before. Like I have a zucchini plant in with the peppers and it's thriving. I have a summer squash plant in a bed that hasn't been doing well. It's been kind of sickly. Every time I try and grow something in that bed, it does okay. Like I grew cherry tomatoes in it last year and it didn't do that great. I don't know if I amended the soil with something that maybe wasn't the best and that caused a problem. So this year I'm like, I'm not gonna grow cherry tomatoes in it. We're gonna grow beans and put some of those beneficial nutrients back in. Peas, I grew peas in it last year and they did okay. So I put the summer squash in there, not really expecting it to do well. And there are now 3 shoots coming off of that main stem. So there's like 4 squash plants on that, off of that one vine. That is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today while we did a garden tour and then harvested. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.